Today's topic is, are you eating this poisonous oil? And look, if you've got people that you want to share this with, like your family, friends, people that are struggling with their weight or their health, please go ahead and feel free to share this, okay? I mean, the only way we grow here at Doctor on a Mission is because of you. You go ahead and share this out with your family and friends. I don't have any sponsors. I have chosen not to get sponsored by anybody. Actually, I'm sponsored by you. Yeah, and your graciousness with sharing it with your family and friends. Now, a little bit about me for those of you who don't know who I am. I'm a medical doctor. I graduated from the University of Colorado and Colorado Medical School in 1991. And I've been a medical doctor now in frontline medicine, family practice, and here in New Zealand, which is where I'm living. Let's see, where is New Zealand? A lot of people have asked, where is New Zealand? Well, New Zealand, here's America, way over here, and New Zealand is way over there. There. I'm right here. I'm right here. But I did all my medical training way over here. And my family and I have been here in New Zealand since 2000. And we love it here. But anyway, I've been a medical doctor in frontline medicine since 1991. And 3 years ago, I decided to give away, well, I still do one-on-one private practice, but locuming. But my whole goal is to do Doctor on a Mission to help people not become sicker and fatter like we're seeing out there, right? Because you know what? The training starts right now, and that's what it's all about. And so I started Doctor on a Mission because I had this friend who became a patient of mine, and I helped her turn around her type 2 diabetes and help her lose up to 100 pounds, which was 45 kgs. And she quit smoking, and she decreased her risk of having a heart attack within 5 years. And I thought, wow, if I can help her, then I can help the world. So that's what we're doing here, okay? So I want to have you consider me like a doctor in outer space so that you can work with your doctor safely and to turn around a lot of your chronic diseases. So let's talk about today's topic, which is, are you eating this poisonous oil? So let me ask you, are you eating things like chips or French fries? How about granola bars or muesli bars, like we call them here in New Zealand? Or how about fish and chips, which we love here down under? Yeah. Or deep fried foods? How about margarine? Are you eating margarine? Well, if the answer is yes, then you are eating partially hydrogenated soybean oil. Partially hydrogenated soybean oil. And the problem with that is twofold. One is when you eat that stuff, that partially hydrogenated soybean oil, you're actually eating trans fats. And trans fats are really, really bad for you because they cause inflammation. Well, what's inflammation? Well, I will give you a little visual. I was preparing this morning and I was like, ooh, I love using my little gimmicks to help cement the idea of what I'm talking about. So here's a scrub brush, okay? So I want you to think of this scrub brush as a trans fat, okay? Bad trans fat. Now, think of my arm like a blood vessel going into the heart with oxygen. Or this blood vessel, we're on the inside lining of the blood vessel, and that blood vessel is going to your brain. Or that blood vessel is going to your heart. Or that blood vessel is going to your kidneys. Or to your liver with beautiful blood, with oxygenated blood, okay? So now I've eaten a trans fat. I've eaten some fish and chips or a granola bar with partially hydrogenated oil, okay? So what happens is this trans fat causes a rubbing. Remember, we're on the inside of a blood vessel. Ooh, and it rubs 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 and it rubs. And after a while, it starts to bleed. Now, normally, what happens is the body heals that and you get a little scar and then the scar is eaten up and everything's fine. But over time, over a long period of time, if you keep on eating trans fats, then it's rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and it stays open, and it starts getting goopy and sticky. And then the problem with it getting goopy and sticky is along comes some cholesterol, and the cholesterol comes and it blocks the blood vessel going to the heart or to the brain, and we start getting strokes, or to the kidneys, and we start getting diabetes, or we start having heart attacks, or lots of things. So that's the problem with trans fats. Trans fats cause inflammation because of the scrub brush analogy. So that's what partially hydrogenated oils do. And in specific, we're talking about partially hydrogenated soybean oil. Now, the problem is these trans fats will cause inflammation, and inflammation is the major cause of things that we're seeing out there. All these chronic diseases that are so preventable, like cancer. Yes, trans fats lead to inflammation and they lead to cancer. Trans fats cause inflammation that lead to obesity. Trans fats cause inflammation that lead to asthma, to autoimmune diseases like lupus, thyroid problems, Hashimoto, type 2 diabetes, and heart problems, okay? So that's the first part of the problem with eating trans fats, like partially hydrogenated soybean oil. The second part with eating partially hydrogenated soybean oil is you're most likely eating a GE product, a GE soybean. What's a GE? Well, it's a genetically engineered soybean. Well, and most soybeans are genetically engineered, okay? The farmers get lots of money to make lots of soybeans genetically modified. So what's the purpose of a genetically modified soybean? Well, the bottom line is the soybean won't be killed by pests. Now, I've got another picture for you. I was getting my notes together and bam, I got downloaded this great idea. So imagine what happens. I'll give you the overall view of what it is, and then I'll give you the picture, okay? How do scientists in the lab make a GE, a genetically engineered soybean, so that when the soybean farms are sprayed with all these pests, the pests are killed, but the soybean is not killed, and it keeps on reproducing in tons and tons and tons. Well, what happens is the scientists snip the DNA of the soybean, and just remember the DNA is like the foundation. It's the blueprint for all the cells in all your body, in all the cells, in all the plants, in all the cells of everybody, of all the human beings, all the animals. Everything's got DNA that's alive. So they snip it, and then they put in the GE part, and then they glue it back together, and then they put it back into the soybean, and then the soybean is genetically engineered. So I got a picture for you. Imagine this is your DNA, okay? So I'm going to write DNA. Now, DNA does not look white, I promise you, but DNA, okay? So the scientists snip the DNA of the soybean, and then what they do is they hook in the genetically engineered part that they want so that it doesn't respond to the pests. The soybean doesn't die to the DNA, the soybean doesn't die to the pesticide, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is your DNA, this is the soybean DNA, and then this ugly thing, you see that ugly thing? That's what they splice it with. They put in this GE part, and this is what protects the soybean. Okay, I hope that helps you understand what this is all about. So what's the problem with a genetically engineered soybean? Well, a couple of studies I want to go through. Number one is, one study found that if hamsters, poor old hamsters, if hamsters are fed genetically engineered soybean, then after about the third generation, their fertility has gone down. That means they can't have kids. They can't have more hamsters. Poor family. I wonder if that's happening to us. We're eating this stuff. Is that why we're seeing so many miscarriages in the world and people having problems conceiving? I mean, look at the situation. How much infertility are we seeing out there? And then another study showed that if hamsters are given genetically engineered soybeans, after the second generation, there's a 5-time higher rate of infant death. So the baby hamsters are dying. So how does that translate into us? Because we're human beings, right? You're a human being, aren't you? Right? Do I get a yes? So how does that respond back to us? Well, the problem is they haven't done genetically engineered tests on us. This has just started in the last 30 years. So you know what? We are the experiment. That's the problem. We are the experiment. And I think the experiment is showing that there's some major side effects with all the infertility that we're seeing and all of the cancers and all the obesity, asthma, autoimmune disease, type 2 diabetes. Holy moly, is there type 2 diabetes and heart problems, okay? So there's so many questions out there, I know. And, you know, people are always asking me, well, should I be eating butter or should I eat margarine? Well, this research shows, this is not my recommendation. I'm not like pulling this out of outer space, but the research shows butter is better. Butter is still a little bit inflammatory, but not as much as margarine. Margarine is, well, we'll talk about margarine in just a little bit, but margarine is not a good alternative. Eat your butter instead of margarine. And then is olive oil okay? Yes, olive oil is fine, but make sure you don't cook with it. And we'll talk later about what kind of oils you should be cooking with and what kind of oils you can cook with and what you can't cook with. I hope I got that straight. So the purpose of these oils, like why would the food company make these oils? Well, there's a lot of money invested in making these. One is they're stable. So they've got a long they have a long shelf life. So they can last a very long time, like a very long time. I'm not even going to tell you how long because I don't know how long, but they can last a long time. And they are, unfortunately, alone, if they don't put hydrogen, because it's partially hydrogenated, right? The hydrogen in the oils make them more stable, so they have a longer shelf life. And alone, these oils, all by themselves, just soybean oil, if it's not partially hydrogenated with lots of hydrogen atoms, then alone, they're very unstable and they go rancid and they're unedible. So that's the purpose of these partially hydrogenated oils, is so that they have a long shelf life, but they're terrible for us. One last point before we go on to what oils to be eating, is that these oils, these partially hydrogenated oils, and into specific, I'm talking about the soybean oil today, is that they've got omega-6s. Now, omega-6s, we need a certain balance of omega-3s and omega-6s in our body, but the world has too many omega-6s, and omega-6s are trans fats, and as you just learned, trans fats cause, where's my brush? I lost my brush. Oh well. Oh, here it is. Omega-6s are a trans fat and they cause scrubbing. Hello, Adriana. Thank you for joining. Hey, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to write them in and I'll be glad to answer them as we go. If you don't have any questions now, but you think of something, just write it in later on and I'll come back. I'll circle around, okay? So, I hope you got that part. Now, the bottom line is, because I'm a bottom line kind of gal, the bottom line is food is our medicine, or it could be our slow death. I'll say that again. Food could be our medicine, or it could be our slow death. And for me, I've chosen to make food my medicine. However, the world out there, the majority of the world, we're changing. A lot of the food is their slow death. So that's why we're seeing so much cancer, type 2 diabetes, obesity, asthma, infertility. It's got a lot to do with our food, okay? So what kind of oils are good to use for cooking? Great question. If you had that question. I hope you had that question because I'm going to answer it right now. So for cooking, coconut oil is really good. Expeller cold-pressed sesame oil, expeller or cold-pressed sunflower oil, or ghee. So those are the 4 biggies. And the reason those are important is because they've got a high burning point. And the reason they've got the good thing about having a high burning point is that they don't create smoke in between this area, okay? And that smoke that you're seeing when you're firing up the pan and you see the smoke of your oil, of those other oils, because you're not going to be using those other oils anymore, but when you were using those other oils, that smoke that you were seeing are trans fats. They're free radicals. They're trans fats being released as free radicals, and those free radicals damage your DNA, yeah? And make problems, make inflammation. That's the problem with that. Now, the good oils to eat, not cooking them, are butter. You don't, please, please, please don't fry with butter. That's terrible. If you're going to use butter to cook with on a stove, get ghee. Ghee is clarified butter, and it's got a higher burning point. And then to eat, just regular butter is good, or extra virgin cold-pressed olive oil. Now, just a little PS on this. Olive oil has become a big business around the world. So not all olive oil is truly olive oil. And I'll do a Facebook Live on that. But suffice it to say, Google real olive oil brands in your area, or buy local, clean, extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed, okay? I'll talk to you more about that later on another time, because it's time to land this plane. So to recap, one little message: stay far, far away from partially hydrogenated soybean oil, okay? All right, I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. I want to thank you for joining me wherever you are in the world. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me on that last teaching session. I know that it will serve and add value to you and get you equipped with back pocket principles so that you're not confused anymore. Now, I've got a little present for you. Well, it's actually a huge present. It's like my best stuff. If you want, and I know you will, go to Doctoronamission and press the tab that says Free Healthy Living Formula. And you will get all this information. I mean, this stuff is my best stuff, so that you know exactly what to eat, what to drink, how to exercise, and you know what? It's just amazing. You see, my whole goal is to do the homework for you, spend the money, and then condense it so that I can bring to you condensed, snackable bits of information so that you're not spending and wasting time, because I know it is very confusing out there. Now, did you notice that during the teaching session there were no commercials, like for drugs or food or underwear? Well, that's because I don't have anybody to sponsor me. I actually choose that. I am self-sponsored. And the reason I'm self-sponsored is because You, the tribe at Doctor on a Mission, is just sharing this with your family and friends. And I want to thank you for that. It's because you're able to do that, we're able to not be sponsored. We don't have to be sponsored. So feel free to send more people to doctoronamission.com. That's our homepage. And they can check out our online courses. They can check our other courses, our coaching courses. They can check out Facebook Live programs that I do for free. They can be educated on YouTube Live. There's so much yummy nutrition at Doctor on a Mission homepage. So thank you for sharing with your family and friends. I really love you for doing that. You rock. We are just gonna, you know what we're gonna do? We are gonna cause an epidemic of health around the world because of what you're doing. So thank you. Okay, so until next time, go out there, let's make a difference. Let's love unconditionally and let's forgive frequently. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.